What up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Lau Times podcast. Lots to talk about. It's a special week for us here at the Lau Times podcast. Our producer is out on vacation right now, so the nicks and knacks of like the creativity aspect of our pod is a little bit behind today because he's at the stadium currently for the Tigres Femenil game, and he has been at numerous amounts of games over the past week or so, and has been our good luck charm, and has been for a while now. I think he's still undefeated. Excuse me, for the last I don't know how many games since he goes to El Volcán. Tigres does not lose, so let's welcome him first this time. Dennis, welcome live from Estadio Universitario El Volcán.
Hello. Yes, it is 62nd minute here. 5-0. Tigres Femenil, just pure domination. It's just like a glorified training session for them. So always good to be here, and a good crowd tonight too for Monday night. Es Puente también, but it's a good crowd.
What are you snacking on, bro?
Nothing tonight. I've had a lot of snacks from coffee shops today. So
all right. We'll be back with you, Alfred. How you doing, my friend?
El Conde Pizarro. We're happy, man. We're happy.
Heck yeah, de la mano de Guido. Edgar, how you doing tonight?
Doing good. It's a pleasure to be back with you guys. Lots to talk about, not just today, but this week.
Awesome. Good to have you, Double O Nation. We got our first comment of the night. Coop.
my boy.
Yeah, a friend of the pod. Yeah. A friend of yours, Dennis. Dennis Face Camera Riot. So, no Dennis Scran. Yeah, Coop. I was hoping that there were some chicharrones at least to show off.
Now you're going to make me get some here in a second. So let me work some magic real quick.
Or something, man.
Let me work some magic real quick. Hold on.
Yeah, you got to show everybody who's watching. So far we got 11 people connected, but hopefully we get some more people on, and see what what Dennis likes when he's at the stadium. We've seen a couple of pictures of the chicharrones, but this is your time to shine, man.
All right, give me a few minutes. Let me get to work here.
And don't act like you can't eat some chicharrones while you're there. There's no diet when you're in Monterrey.
True, and it's cheap.
Hey, and maybe you can lock in an official sponsor while you're out there.
That would be fantastic.
That's true. Maybe
nothing unofficial anymore.
True. There's monkey papas everywhere here. Maybe I can actually get them to hand us a check, blank check.
Yeah, man. Come on, dude. Do your job. You're slacking on the producing side, and at least you can do is get some money in through some sponsorships.
Hey, all I gotta say, just crowdfund my abono. We'll be good.
I think we all can get on that train. We all want some abonos for us. Anyways, hey guys, we got quite a bit of things to talk about tonight. First, want to start off before we get into anything of how Alfred made our podcast, or more specifically, the Cincy Soccer Talk podcast viral through a Tigres story, and we got some shameless plugs through that. So I want to hand that over to you, Alfred, to lead us off on that and talk about that viral video that went viral last night or yesterday afternoon.
Well, we want to thank Lou Popovich. So, he's the one that kept up with the guys at Cincy Soccer Talk in their follow-up episode after, losing their game last week, the second leg versus us. And they obviously did have one of their members. I thought it was a guest, but apparently she's like one of the frequent podcasters on there, and she went down to Monterrey and gave her live testimonial of what it was like for her to live a game at El Volcán. And obviously it went viral because to her explanation, it's nothing that she'd ever seen here in the U.S. Even though she's been to multiple games of the NFL, of SEC college games, and she was still impressed. So shout out to Christy for obviously speaking well about our team and our fan base and our stadium. But yeah, I mean, obviously happy to hear that type of things coming from different fan bases, not just our own.
Yeah, it's always great for us. We always say it, we always acknowledge it, we know it. It's always great to brag about it, but when other people experience it and from different cultures, and in this case, an MLS side that we had the pleasure of working with, the Cincy Soccer Talk Show, which shout out to them. You mentioned that you didn't know that she was a part of their episodes or show, is because they have such a conglomerate of people collaborating and coming together for all Cincy Soccer Talk. So that's a good standard or target for us on this side of Tigres to have, at least with the English coverage that we do. So shout out to them, shout out to her, and shout out to our fan base for being a good example and demonstrating a welcoming environment. We typically are that welcoming environment at all times, but it's always, like I said, great to be emphasized by other people besides ourselves. So but shout out to you too, man. Like you posted that, and you even got the subtitles going for Spanish people, because I saw a lot of people were requesting the subtitles of the English.
I tried.
So
that's good at translating, but I tried.
That was great too. I came across it on Facebook today, but somebody just snapped the picture. Yeah, it wasn't. No, they didn't give you credit, dude. And it was funny, but someone did in the comments. It was basically they took a picture of the two fans from Cincy, and they just summarized what you said, or
right.
And so it was on Facebook, and then somebody tagged the link and to the actual your tweet, and someone screenshotted it as well. So that was pretty cool. Like I said, it made us go viral, and we took that opportunity to also showcase what we got going on this week. Obviously, tonight's episode, more what we traditionally do, recapping and previewing ahead and just talking all surrounding things Tigres. And then obviously we've mentioned it now. It's on my profile. You guys have reposted and whatnot, and Lou as well on his account, Tigres English. We have a special guest tomorrow, which is a former player, American player, Uruguayan player, Tab Ramos, who was a big key to in the 90s team, mid 90s, and a great player. I know my dad was a big fan, and Alfred, I know you mentioned that your dad was also a big fan. Look at him go.
There it is. Some scran.
Heck yeah. Chicharrones
You're welcome.
Hey, but now we gotta see you, biting, munching on it, man. That's gotta go viral too.
All right, for all my for all you people watching in the States, this beautiful thing is $6. That's a steal. Yeah, especially compared to what you got to pay for food in American stadiums. Huh?
Explain to everyone what it is.
Chicharrones, fried goodness, pork rinds, baby, with salsa and lemon and lime juice.
Yeah, I could do without the lime. I'm only a salsa guy on it, but
so good.
They're hella good. They're hella good, and they're easy to snack on, man. They give them that little cup. Yeah, and Alfred, do you know the story? Or Edgar, I'm not sure if you know it as well. Do you know the story of how they became a thing at the stadium and got that deal in order to sell?
No.
So the owner, I'm not sure if the owner or I want to say it was the owner. If not, somebody from their marketing team. We gotta go.
Oh, buy it penalty.
Oh, okay. I'm a little behind on that. But anyways, so the guy from Chicharrones Mendes, snuck in those chicharrones to the stadium and took a picture, and so then they reached out to them about selling them at the stadium. So that's how they got the gig, and now it's a famous snack. It's on Footy Scran, and it's everybody's favorite snack while they're at the Volcán Estadio Universitario. So just wanted to give some insight there. It looks like Dennis is enjoying them and going ham on them. But anyways, back to what we got going on. Like I was mentioning, we got Tab Ramos tomorrow, live interview. We're going to get started at 7:45, briefly talking about, setting up the presentation of the interview, and then he's going to be joining us at 8 o'clock. So tell everybody, all of you guys that are watching, make sure you help us share. It's going to be really interesting. Obviously, he's an important player in our club history and American soccer. He's obviously a head coach and has coached as well. And it's going to be great insight to understand his time at Tigres and everything else that he's got going on in his life. So make sure you tune into that. And then we got another special guest interview, David Copeland Smith, who was also part of Tigres Femenil coaching staff not too long ago. He's going to be joining us for an interview. That one won't be live, but we'll be able to post that, this week as well in order for you guys to enjoy and watch. That's going to be a really cool interview to talk about Tigres Femenil and his time there as well, and everything he's got going on after, having spent time with Tigres Femenil. And then tomorrow, unofficial shameless plug, I'll be on ESPN Radio with Mr. Glenn Davis. Once again, he's invited me to his show. We're going to be doing a live show from a brewery here in Houston out in the Jersey Village area. And so I'll be going live with another colleague by the name of Victor Araiza, who covers soccer here in Houston. And so we're going to be having our segment of Liga MX tomorrow night as well. So lots to talk about Tigres this week. It's a FIFA break. Typically, we sort of go under the radar and everything we got going on this week. It's going to be great to get the content out to you guys and continue to do this as we continue to expand on this project. So thank you for everybody currently tuning in. Like I said, make sure you let people know and share and help us out. Guys, we advanced in the CONCACAF, and such a great feeling because we're on a roll. We're on a roll with our new head coach, Guido Pizarro, our former team captain, club legend, the best, probably one of the best midfielders that we've seen at our club, and everything through his dedication on and off the field, his professionalism, his leadership. And now he's leading us in great form and finding ways to squeeze more talent or more form out of some players that were playing already under Paunovic, but now even other players who weren't playing. And so like Purata, who else, guys?
Yeah, well, I mean, he's obviously making use of a different formation that we hadn't seen before. So now we're getting to see, players in different places. Like Aquino and Garza playing more, forward wing back play instead of just being a fullback. And then you also have Brunetta, kind of shining in that center midfield role, but he's still producing, to our surprise.
Yeah, and that's something that I definitely want to dive into a little bit later as we get more into the Santos game. But he's been obviously killing it with his new role in the lineup under Guido Pizarro, and like you mentioned, a new lineup change, inclusion of Purata in the lineup. Parra, our youngster, being included now and being part. Marcelo Flores being given the confidence to now start games, and more recently in this game against Santos, even played that left wing back position when he subbed out Chuy Garza. So that's something new and something that it's flexible because of that wing back position and not having to defend as much and being able to obviously be tasked with more attacking roles. So that has been great. But like I said, we advanced Tigres versus Cincinnati. I'm going to go over the lineup really quick. Thanks. I think that was you, Alfred, who posted this on the outline. But shout out obviously to Double O Nation, like always, keeping us in check and giving us a guideline for a pod episode. So in that Cincinnati game, we had Aquino, Joaquin, Purata, Angulo, and Chuy Garza running on the back. And then in the midfielder, we have Brunetta, Carioca, Marcelo, and then up top, Cordoba, Nico Ibanez. So we'll start there, get some initial thoughts about the score being 3-1 and a little bit about the game impressions and the lineup that was selected. So we'll start with you, Edgar.
So it definitely felt like two completely different games, the first half compared to the second half. I did enjoy, the repeat of what's essentially been working, even though there was questions at first with the back line of five, but I think it's solid. I think it's definitely worked for Guido Pizarro. The the continued trust in Marcelo Flores has been interesting. I think he fell off really hard as soon as Siboldi left, but slowly but surely he's recovering form. This wasn't his best game, but we'll get into it in a few minutes. Against Santos, he did really well, and he's still seeing that consistency there. And overall, I am very happy with the result.
100%. Alfred?
Well, obviously, I think we're disappointed. Probably the player that we're most disappointed in is Cordova, who got a chance to start now under Guido Pizarro, but it just seems to me like maybe he hasn't found his form yet, and other players are stepping up, and we saw it with the change in lineup, from the Cincinnati game to the Santos game, where Cordova lost his starting position and didn't even get subbed in. But yeah, like Edgar said, I mean, complete opposites. We were losing in the first half, 1-0, but then Ociel came in, and he was pretty much the big change that we had. Obviously, Gorriaran came in at the half, and you could tell that there was a difference in play and versus what Cordova was providing. But Ociel, man, he just has a magnet with the goal, and he got that comeback started, and we went up 3 goals in 8 minutes. So it was great to watch. It was a great feeling. The crowd started chanting and singing again. That's why we got Christy from Cincinnati talking about us. But the important thing is that we classified, that we advanced into the next round, and hopefully Pizarro's inclusion as a new head coach has given us this new life in this season, because we really weren't very confident of what was going to happen, not just in the league but in the CONCACAF under Pauno, and that completely has turned around with Guido now.
Yeah, you mentioned Ociel Herrera coming on. Nando Gorriaran's first game back after being out a couple of weeks due to injuries, so he looked like he didn't miss a beat, even picking up an assist in that game off of the Nico Ibanez goal. But Herrera coming in, scoring, assisting Bruneta on a beautiful play, and the link up between Aquino, Carioca, Ociel Herrera, and then finalizing by Bruneta on a beautiful goal where he sets himself up and catches the ball on almost like a volley. So then we have obviously Nico Ibanez, who continues to score in his streak at the time. So great things happen in that game, and like Edgar mentioned, a tale of two halves. The first half being not so great, and the second half being a lot better, a lot more energy. Obviously, Guido Pizarro has been excellent with the substitutions. I think that's something that has been very impressive in terms of, once he's picking out his starting 11 and rotating players, and then obviously changing and managing and adapting to what the game presents in order to pull out the positive results. So that's something that's been impressive for me, is the fact that he is proving that he's an excellent tactician, as well as he's an excellent manager in game situations through substitutions. And that's something that, we lack totally with Paunovic. And, Siboldi's first season was exceptional, but then as his time went off, he started getting into this groove of his substitutions were off and being sporadic and not being consistent with what he was demanding out of his squad in terms of play and play style. So really impressed by that. Not sure if you guys, Dennis, impressions or thoughts about the Cincinnati advancement or victory that got us into the next round, which now we're going to be facing the LA Galaxy in the next round.
Yeah, speaking from being here at the stadium on Tuesday, the energy in the crowd when Gorriaran came in after halftime completely shifted the mood of everything. Like when he came in, like the team looked better, the crowd got into it more. It was great. And that second half proved it, that he was an impact sub, and Ociel was also tremendous. It helped that Cincinnati parked the bus. And when you park the bus for that long, after they scored that first goal, which was a great goal, by the way, between Orellano and Evander, something was bound to give, and thankfully we took advantage of it. And I'm looking forward to that LA matchup. I know we'll talk about it in the coming weeks, but that's a very interesting matchup. The defending MLS champions, but kind of on the struggle bus right now to start the season. So let's see how we match up against them, despite all their different roster changes that they've had um, over the last few weeks. So it was a great night. It was like second half, the atmosphere. I know I already forgot her name, but the girl from the Cincy Soccer Talk
Christy.
pod. Yeah, she summed it up really well. Like it was bumping in here second half. It was awesome. So
Yeah, and this is why we need to start a GoFundMe account for you so you can stay down there. Did we get
Yeah.
another one?
no, hit the post. There's been like 3 post shots. I don't know who shot it this time, and then Tatiana just scuffed it. Flores. So
I'm like at least a minute behind you.
Yeah.
yeah,
And
Yeah.
I saw Farmer came back in. I know guys
Yeah.
were skipping around, but we're live watching the Amazonas right now. Farmer came back and she's playing in a new position, but we'll talk about the
Yeah.
and that's impressive to me how she can be all over the field. She's going to be an excellent player for us coming back from injury now.
absolutely.
LA Galaxy, I know we're going to be talking about it in a few weeks, but I like the matchup. I think it's a favorable matchup, especially with what you mentioned, Dennis, with the substitutions. I'm sorry, the injuries and the loss of players through transfers, and it's a glamorous matchup to say the least. They're the MLS Cup champions, and we got Marco Reus, another World Cup champion, coming to visit El Volcán. So that's another one besides, the several ones that we've had now. So interesting matchup, favorable matchup, like I said, but we'll talk about it as we get closer to that match.
And Alfred will be there, so he's going to be our
Well,
good
yeah.
charm at the very least. So
Yeah, and
I'll try.
yeah,
I'm
and
not
Alfred-
Dennis though.
and we're gonna hold the standard for Alfred to start creating stuff to go viral. So
No pressure.
Yeah, no pressure at all. Any other thoughts, Alfred, on that Cincinnati matchup for the CONCACAF Champions League?
No, just lastly, shout out again to the guys from Cincy Soccer Talk, and just simply the fan base from Cincinnati. They've been just like we were to them. They've been very courteous, and
Supportive.
they seem like a good fan base. So good luck to them as well in the MLS.
100%. Did we just get another one, Dennis?
yes, I don't know who scored it, but it's 7-0.
Yeah, I just got the notification. Okay,
Daddy
moving on.
again. Daddy again. She's got 2. Ramirez. Daddy Ramirez. She's got 2.
Yeah, good for her. Good for her, youngster. Let's see what else we got. We got our Tigres versus Santos recap. Perfect timer. Edgar's coming back so he can read us his segment intro to our new segment.
If he's ready, Edgar, you ready?
We caught him at the wrong time. Oh, now I'm watching the daily goal. Oh, just watch it. Okay, I'll take it from here. I think he's lagging. I'm not sure if something's up on his side of his video.
Yeah, I think he's struggling.
So
That was a good goal though by Diddy. She did good.
This is what Edgar wrote. Smiles returned to the stands of the most passionate stadium in all of Mexico as Los Incomparables revamped under Profe Pizarro. The match began at a nostalgic hour for many, with the 5 p.m. being the local kickoff time. Gorreran was captain for the evening on this occasion that celebrated the previous captain and now new head coach, Guido Pizarro. A tribute to the Argentine was held in the stands and later translated to the pitch. 3-0 was the final score, but only Brunetta managed to put his name on the goal scorer list for the Incomparable side. As you guys know, there was own goals in that game. So I want to mention briefly before we start going into that, Gorreran was the captain for this match. And we have 3 new captains for the squad, and total chess move by Guido Pizarro. And I called it whenever it happened. It's a new way to empower new leaders because the old guys don't need the armband to be leaders or captains of the squad. We obviously threw some names in the hat whenever Guido Pizarro was going to be stepping up to be the head coach. And so Angulo, Gorreran, and who's the third one, Alfred, that I'm missing? Brunetta are the captains. So Angulo was the captain during Gorreran's absence. And it looks like Gorreran is the number 1 captain and Angulo being number 2 and Brunetta number 3. But apparently what it's been talked about and rumored is that they will pick every game who the captain is to wear the armband. So awesome move by an awesome leader, empowering his former teammates in order to take this new era of what we like to pursue of a long-term project under Guido Pizarro with some new leadership and some of the guys that were brought in for that generational change. So shout out to him. Just want to emphasize that. So I'm going to toss it over to you, Alfred, to go over the lineup this time for this Santos match that we just had this past Saturday at 5:00.
Yeah, so like we mentioned, different to what we had seen versus Cincinnati versus Querétaro and versus Cincinnati in the first leg, where Guido had kind of, kept the same lineup. Now with Gorri back, we finally got to see him starting with Cordova being benched. So we have a repeat of the same back line of five with Angulo, Joaquin, Purata, and then Aquino and Garza on the wings. But then we have also Parra being included, obviously to give us, the needed youth minutes for the rule. So Carioca was sat out and Parra was the one who took his spot. Not a bad game at all by the kid. We still saw Flores, out on the wing and at the top. And Brunetta obviously leading the team in the center of the field. Gorriaran seemed to be playing a little bit more towards the right, which I don't know if you guys remember, but this reminds me back to when Chima Ruiz was actually putting him in that same position, and he got criticized a lot. Even though I was seeing good things, but he got criticized a lot for putting Gorriaran in that position. And then he kind of, stepped a little bit further back with Siboldi, but he has that tendency of going towards the right anyways. And he has good, good dribbling, and, he's able to get to the end line and put some crosses in. So obviously, having Gorriaran in the lineup from the start was very important. And I mean, what can we say? I mean, Nico Ibanez, even though he didn't score, he's still showing that now under Pizarro, he's got confidence, and man, he was trying.
Yeah, there's a couple of things that you mentioned off of the lineup, Alfred, there, especially with Nando. I just saw the replay of what you probably saw earlier, Dennis, that header from Nayeli.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was close. You mentioned that he was being used out on the right side, and I think the only difference and what I'm seeing so far with what Guido is implementing, because I also made a note about this, Alfred, as the game progressed in that Santos match. He's technically the right center mid, but
Yes.
he floats to the right side, and so he's created some really good connection, and he's always had it with Aquino,
Yes.
going up the right side. But it's interesting to me that even though he's more of the traditional like center mid or center defensive mid, or box to box, whatever you want to, identify that position as, he's playing higher up the pitch when we don't have the ball, as we, progress into having the ball and building up, than Brunetta is,
Yes.
which is odd to see, because you would think that it would be the opposite. And I was thinking whenever, he was coming back from injury, that he was going to be that guy, like going in deep to take the, the ball out
Brunetta.
clean, and then projecting towards Brunetta higher up the pitch, and Brunetta being, closer to goal, because obviously he can score the ball. He's an attacking midfielder by nature. And so he can assist higher up the pitch. And again, a possible concern, right? Because, having to play so deep back and having been involved with so many touches and build up, he's still finding the back of the net. He's still finding ways to connect with his teammates up in the attacking side. But that was what I noticed about Nando Gorriaran, is he's the right center mid, but floating to the right side, and also being higher up the pitch and not having to have so much sacrifice. So he's able to pressure higher and use all that energy that he normally has, and not get as much tired by having to track back as much. And Brunetta being the guy that tracks back. And shout out to Brunetta, with his work rate that he's had.
Do you know who this team or how they're playing in the formation? What it reminds me of? The Pumpido team with Walter Gaitan, with Irene Suarez. Irene Suarez being that center defensive midfield, but Walter Gaitan back in that team was playing kind of, Bruneta's now is playing like Walter Gaitan was playing back then, where he would drop back a lot and kind of start the build up play, from the midfield, and still being able to, move forward and appear in the box and shoot from outside the box like Bruneta is doing. And man, am I impressed. Like, honestly, Bruneta in the last 4 games alone, like he's improved so much over what we saw in the whole Pauno era, where even though he was still our best player, Guido now is getting the best out of him, truly. Absolutely. With this new position that he's putting in.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I think he's being utilized more efficiently, even though his work rate has gone up. And again, crazy to think that a player of his caliber would have to be running as much and getting involved. But if you look at the heat maps of his games under Guido Pizarro, his sweet spots are, right in between that, the middle of the defensive midfield and the middle of the offensive midfield. That like sweet spot of like, having to tuck back and creating, and then obviously using progression, because he's a dribbler. He's going to go by, and carry the ball as much as he needs to. So that's been something that has been really impressive. Again, shout out to Guido Pizarro, but again, Bruneta for stepping up into that role and sort of taking a leadership role through it, right? Like we mentioned that he's a captain now, but also stepping up as a leader and doing what, is asked of him to do on the field by Guido Pizarro, and taking a more important role, like you're saying, where, he's having to be more involved with the creation of our buildup. So shout out to Bruneta. Edgar, you're back after getting all these technical difficulties, so I'll throw it over to you. Initial impressions, to your reactions as far as the Tigres versus Santos game.
Yes, I know. I definitely expected a win going into it. I would have loved to have seen more goals from our own players at the end of the day.
We could have had more.
We definitely could have had more. It easily could have been a 5-0 game without question. I think Bruneta was definitely the man of the match for me, best player on the field, and the subs, they look great. Gorderan being back as well is something that's really phenomenal, and it's only going to skyrocket this team against future opponents.
100%. Dennis, game over or what?
Yes, sir. 7-0 final.
7-0. Let's get your
let's listen to that anthem.
Bro, shows a little bit of the field, man. I mean, I get that we want to see your face, but shows the action. There we go.
Yeah.
There we go. 7-0 at El Volcán for Tigres Femenil.
I can't flip my camera that easily on StreamYard.
Oh,
not like
man.
a FaceTime. Yeah.
Before you get moving and catch yourself in a little bit of traffic, your reactions and impressions of the Tigres versus Santos game, the lineup, the choices that were, and just overall thoughts.
Lineup selection I thought was strong. Outside of Marcelo initially, like pregame, I was like, I don't know if I love that, but then he ended up having a great game. I thought Parra was unbelievable. Like, he didn't look like his age. He looked like a veteran, just like seeing him at field level. His composure on the ball, his patience on the ball, and when to pass and when to keep stuff going, I thought was really strong. And then obviously Bruneta. I mean, I had a great view of the goal because it was I was 2 rows behind that goal, second half, and the curve on it was, oh my goodness, it was incredible to see. And the crowd again, unbelievable, especially Saturday, especially with how hot it was. Like, estaba el calor, crazy, bro. But it was a great crowd for a 5 p.m. game, which doesn't happen as much anymore in Monterrey. It was a great time, great vibes. Shout out Tacos Popos, my post-game meal. These tacos de trompo, tremendous, bro. But it was a great game. I was very impressed with a lot of the players and the system. Bata Purata, really good too on Saturday. Never looked like out of place or like flustered or anything. He looked like he's been playing the last year. Doesn't look like a guy who just started getting back in the lineup, which I was really impressed by.
Yeah, there's a couple of things that you mentioned there that I want to highlight. One being the shot. You mentioned Brunetta's shot from outside the box, and you had a beautiful view on it, and the curve and whatnot. So we came across on the timeline and here in the outline. Tigres is a team with the most goals from outside the box this season, with Brunetta having 2, Chuy Garza having 2, Gorri having 1, Ociel and Linus totaling a total of 7. That's something that we've always been talking about over the last few seasons. It was such a tool that was underutilized, having that much of skilled players on the ball, even on free kicks as well. I know Andre Pierre normally takes those, but shots from outside the goal was something that we always were asking for and desiring, especially because at times Tigres was just becoming a very predictable team with crosses, or the old saying of trying to walk the ball into the goal and not shooting. So that's something positive that I think that is a total, I think that was carried over from Paunovic. That's something maybe that to give him some credit there. I think that we saw that progression build up and taking more shots from outside the goal. And now,
What?
obviously,
You giving Panovich credit? Come on, man. What are
I
we?
mean, I mean, I gotta be
I'm
fair,
kidding.
dude. I gotta be
You
fair.
are. No, you're right. You're right. You're right. He was trying to make us more like America, because that's what like America does half the time. They just long shot.
Yeah, and so now it's we can see with the amount of goals that are happening. So wanted to highlight that as well. You talked about Bernardo Parra, a guy that's coming into the team and being an important player, not just a player that is just being utilized for youth minutes. As the progression of games have gone on, he's gotten more comfortable. He's more active. He looks more loose on the field. He understands. He's not trying to do too much. He's playing first touch passes. He knows when to move the ball and switch sides. So that's something that, again, has probably been all Guido Pizarro, and especially in being a nature of that position and understanding what all that position entails. Your coach having been a legend at our club at that position totally helps Alfred. So I'm gonna toss that over to you and to highlight a little bit more Bernardo Parra.
Sorry, man, you're coming chewy. All right. So one thing I want to highlight about that is Romulo came in and he didn't take Parra's spot.
Yeah.
So that's something that we were kind of wondering, where is Romulo going to fit in, once he was back from injury. And I wanted to mention him in, but man, I was scared to be like wrong. But I kind of saw it. I mean, I think he's going to be pushed back into kind of the rotation of a center back role, where, obviously he doesn't have the ability with the ball to be able to come out and build up play in that center midfield position, but he does have that aggressiveness, to be, a last man, sweeper, being able to help out in the back. So it was interesting to me that Parra maintained there. Obviously, he's not Carioca. Nobody's saying he is, but he had a really impressive performance. He did well. It's obviously Santos, which we don't want to get carried away. With we could have won 5-0 with Purata not struggling in the back, with Parra holding his own. We want to see this versus America, but in the end, it's a good start. It's good that this confidence buildup is happening right before the international break. So they're even going to have, a couple of weeks to prepare for that America game. So if it is going to be Parra that is going to maintain that position, whether it's as a starter or coming as a sub for Carioca, hopefully, this past 2 games that he's been able to show himself, gave him that confidence to, like you said, come out like a player that's been around for some time.
Yeah, and so some of these stats for our stats people: 94% passes completing in accuracy. So 46 out of 49 passes were completed with total accuracy. And then number 2 in balls recovered in that game with 8 balls recovered. So again, not complicating himself and being smart on the field, and just playing one touch if needed. And playing back when needed, and he's got energy. He's got good energy. I think as he continues to play more, he's going to find himself more in rhythm, and also build better legs. In terms of speed, I think that's something that he can probably work on, especially, being in that position in the midfield and being young, right? We want someone that can pressure the ball and be aggressive on the ball when recovering and anticipating. So shout out to him, though. I think, overall on cue and with what, low expectations, but now it turned into really good moments for him. And hopefully that continues to transition the rest of the season. And he continues to get more minutes and possibly be an important player. And again, I think that another depth issue was resolved there, right? We were talking about Guido Pizarro stepping up as, our head coach and who was going to fill that role. And, our depth chart, was, going to take a toll. And I think Dennis was mentioning it a couple weeks back where, who was going to come in and be that position or that replacement for him. We were obviously thinking Carioca, we were thinking Romulo, but now Bernardo Parra seems like he's the starter. And I think he's earned the position at the moment. And I think that now you can work with the calendar and the matches that you got moving into the CONCACAF, where you got Carioca to play in that position, eventually Romulo, if he decides to play in there. But I think you're onto something. I think, he did play at his previous club in that sweeper role where Purata is. And, just being a guy that has speed, he's a disruptor, and can pressure the ball and can keep up with defending. That's what is more of his specialty is. But in this case, he was more as a stopper on the right side, as a right center back when he came in. But again, I don't know if he does that against, the better teams. I think Santos was a good match to try it, and obviously gives you the flexibility to continue to use Parra in that midfielder role for the youth minutes. So he came on at the right center back spot for Joaquin. Didn't get too much, right? Because at that point, the game was already resolved. But ultimately came back from injury, and, we saw him in a position that you probably had an idea of it, Alfred, but not expected by everybody to play there.
Yeah, I'll help you out. So just reading Edgar's comment as well. He's saying, yeah, for a young player, these are solid numbers. It's been a while since we've had a good Mexican midfielder like him. So just going back, obviously we had Dueñas, who became a club legend. But even before that, maybe Viniegra was kind of in that position and stood out. And I know we talked about him before, but there was a guy, that guy that went to America and Chivas and Rayados, Molina as well. So, but good for him. Obviously, because of the youth minutes that he's able to provide, I think we're going to continue to see him in league games. Like you said, probably Carioca is going to come in for the CONCACAF matchups. And Parra will definitely see minutes in league.
And he's already leagues ahead of what we saw from Fierro and David Ayala in its time whenever Piojo used them in that position. So I think he's earned himself a starting position at the moment at Tigres. So we'll see how that continues to look with more people coming back from injuries. We're still missing a couple players. Diego Reyes, Lainez. Who else is injured? I think that's it. Right?
Well, Chicha and
Andre Pierre
Guignac. Man, it's crazy how we haven't missed him in these last few games.
But that just comes down. I mean, it should be. That's the way it should be, man. Like the last 2-3 years, that's the way it should have been. Like
we were dependent of him.
Yeah, we shouldn't have been dependent of him, but I mean, we sort of were. But I think that was coaching and lack of play style, and as well as bad form from some of the players. But again, like he can still be an important player, but coming off the bench, that should have been the natural move. He slowly transitioned to the bench and still be in that 6-man role coming off the bench and producing, and Nico Ibanez being the starter, but through a more team oriented, not so many individualistic performances. Like we were expecting him with an under Pauno. And now with Guido Pizarro, the team looks better collectively, and therefore he's shining better because that's the type of forward he is. If you remember at his time at Pachuca, it wasn't that he was an impressive, he was doing it all type forward, right? It was through the combination of coaching by Almada as well as all the youth players that Pachuca had around him that were creative.
They were feeding him balls.
And feeding him, and the play style was you know,
Favored him.
more according to what the type of forward that Nico Ibanez is, and it's shown. I mean, he didn't score this past game, but he was still highly involved, and he had a couple of chances where he
And
could have scored.
so just, the way that we were used to playing, even under Siboldi, but with Pano as well, where Guignac was more favored because, he would track back and help with the buildup. And, we wanted to ask Ibanez to do the same where he's not the type of player. Now, with this new formation and the way that the team is playing, he doesn't have to. He can stay in the box. He can stay up there and just, be the player that's gonna, make sure that he's available and open and creates himself some space to get chances. So good for him. Obviously, I spoke not so good of him in the past, but it's because of all this. I mean, obviously, it is now seen that Lou was right. it was all in how we were playing and how he wasn't being able to show his full potential.
Dennis, help me out.
You know what it is about Parra, bro? It's his physical attributes. He's tall, taller than, Ayala and Fierro. He's got better pace than both of them. He's a little bit stronger. It never seems like he gets tired. And part of that's because he's so young. But I don't know. Anytime I see Fierro, he looks so slow, especially during that Columbus game last year. He looked so slow. Parra never looked like that on Saturday and in the games before. He looks composed. He looks like he's really fit.
Yeah, and I think it can get better. Like I mentioned, I think that you get better by playing more, and he's getting the minutes now. Want to focus on one more player, actually two more players, Marcelo and Purata. We'll start off with Purata first. A guy that we were talking about, like, needed to go. Especially because this was a season that we went into it with zero expectation. That was the theme of our topics of conversations on this podcast, and as collectively as a fan base, at least within our circle of communication in the Tigres English community. And now that's definitely changed. And you asked me, Alfred, a couple weeks ago, like, once we got Guido Pizarro, and it was just a new life, a new spark of energy that, I'm not saying that we were going to be the number one contenders or, challenge America
Just
immediately, but we are turning into a contender through the players that we have. And Purata was someone that we didn't have on the radar to be included in this lineups. And he's found a way to make himself into the starting 11, mainly due to the fact that, he's a player that has always been great on the ball. He's got great skill. He's got good touch, good passes. And it was just more of the defensive aspect, right? Like his marking, his positioning on the field. But it was never in question how offensively he can help you, especially playing out of the back, as well as in corner kicks, which has been demonstrated where he had numerous chances this past game against Santos on corner kicks. So want to highlight him a bit, and your thoughts about the inclusion of him into the lineup, Alfred.
Yeah. So, I mean, I really just want to echo everything that you said. Obviously, we thought at the beginning, and not just this season, but the last season, that, he was a goner, that he was a player that we needed to offload, and that we needed to find somebody else to, kind of rotate with Joaquim and Reyes and Pizarro. But everything has changed now in the last couple of weeks. Pizarro is obviously no longer an option, being the new head coach. Reyes being out, and it was, obviously we had talked about Angulo, playing in that center back position, but with the whole rumor about Pizarro, using a line of five, it was who was he going to use? And to all of our surprises, Purata is the guy. I mean, I don't want to say that he was just chosen because Reyes is not there or because, there was no other option. I truly think that he is the guy for this type of formation, for this type of play. Juninho with Peyo Maldonado has spoken wonders of him. not just now, recently, but even in the past. And obviously, if Pizarro is the one that decided to put him there, there's a reason for that. I mean, why wouldn't we trust Pizarro? Why would we trust Tigre Gringo 586 on Twitter saying that Purata shouldn't be a player? I mean, Pizarro obviously knows a hell of a lot more than we do. So I want to give him his props because he's done well, and obviously we want to make sure that he continues to improve and that he demonstrates his capabilities with the better opponents like America or Rayados. I mean, who knows? He might be someone that we keep for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, it again, it solves some current depth issues by him playing into the starting lineup. And so I'll ask you this, Dennis, if because I personally agree with what Alfred just stated, that he is the guy for the current formation based on what we got. But I also think that, Diego Reyes has similar qualities. Like, he has good touch on the ball. Obviously having played at the center defensive midfield position, something that Purata also played as well at the youth level. If both were healthy, Dennis, or in this case, Diego Reyes was fully healthy and Guido Pizarro is taking over the team, do you think that he would have gone with Diego Reyes, or do you think he would would have chosen Purata to play in this lineup?
I'd say Purata, a little bit quicker than Reyes, and his passing ability, especially long balls, way better than Reyes. Case closed.
Cool. So it looks like with that answer is what I came to the conclusion in my head. We were sort of expecting Diego Reyes for this to be his last season. Obviously, now with Guido Pizarro being the coach, I think Purata earned himself back into the depth chart, where if that's as the backup in case you bring someone of higher caliber at that position, or he surprises like later down the line, maybe when Romulo is healthier, playing him there. But now Purata, I think, earned himself on the depth chart to be the backup in case he's not the starting center back, which, we're rooting for him, right? He's a canterano. He's this guy that came out of our system, and everything that, we want, representing the values and what we stand for the club is a guy like him. You're on mute.
Sorry, yeah, just to read Double L Nation's comment, Edgar, saying aligning with the generational change. I think Guido would have opted for Purata over Reyes still if both were healthy. And that is true. I mean, we're obviously seeing now more than ever that the generational change is happening.
Right, absolutely. I think Aquino and Nahuel are the only ones that are still, knocking on the door, and rightfully so.
Undisputed, like they don't need to be subbed right now.
Yeah, and the game showed it, right? Chuy Garza was subbed off, and Marcelo was put at that position, at the left wing back position, which transitions into this next player that I want to highlight, which is Marcelo Flores. I mentioned it prior to the game starting. You also agree with it, Alfred, and then Dennis just also mentioned it as well tonight when we were first started talking about this Santos game. Marcelo Flores is getting the confidence to be the starting center forward. We want to call him in the center forward position in this lineup.
Or left center mid.
Okay. Because it's interesting how the lineup is presented changes as soon as the first touch gets on as for kickoff, because he gets a lot of movement all over the field. So sometimes he tracks as a left mid, a left center mid, as a center forward, but he has that liberty to move around and
it's like a weird false nine.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
Yeah, and so Marcelo, like I was mentioning, is getting the confidence to be the starting or being a starter. And prior to this game, he was having inconsistencies. He was not playing his best, showing just bad games in terms of touches. Bad decision making, and obviously he's young. He's someone that has good natural raw talent. He has experience, through the Arsenal Academy, and now at Tigres. And it's somebody that doesn't really get in the way of maybe like, because he doesn't take a foreign spot. He's a Mexican player. So first half, not the greatest. Second half, turned it around. Much better half for him. And being able to transition into the left wing back spot, I think also gave him some boost of confidence because he was more aligned with what he normally plays, which is closer to the end line or the sideline on the left side. And he didn't have to defend as much, having been a wing back. But if he needed to, he was able to track back. So good overall moment for Marcelo Flores in this game, Dennis. Want to get your thoughts about him, giving the confidence to be the starter, and then his play overall of the last few games, and then more specifically in this Santos game.
Yeah, I think it speaks to the fact that he's training well after coming off injury to start the year. Obviously, he's doing something really well in there to warrant all these starts. Probably helps that he contributes a little bit to the youth minutes still. He's gotten better with his decision making. There was an improvement from Tuesday to where he held on to the ball so long multiple times against Cincinnati, to Saturday against Santos, where there was definitely some quicker decisions, some better passing, some willingness to take more shots. Because sometimes he likes to stutter step too much, and that's fine. That's part of his game. But definitely an improvement. And I think right now, just on better form and just the kind of like unexpected factor that he brings with his one-on-one ability, I think is, a better asset to have right now as opposed to what Sebastian can bring. And I understand why Guido is putting Flores over Sebastian right now in that regard. So,
yeah, I mean, again, we're rooting for him because, like I said, he's young. He's a Mexican prospect. He had good production in the previous 2 seasons with Siboldi, having scored some goals and assisted on some plays. So, again, rooting for him. But other than that, guys, I know that I'm riding solo at the moment. Both of you guys disappeared, but I think that's all I got on the Tigres versus Santos recap. I'm not sure if you have anything else to add, Alfred, from that game.
No, hopefully we can get Lou back because he was really hyped about Marcelo's performance. So we obviously want to hear what Lou has to say and what he feels that Marcelo's ultimate, position is going to be once Linus comes back.
Yeah, Lou pulled the 180 on me. He was like criticizing Marcelo, and then just like, I believe in the kid. Let's trust the kid, which I'm going to listen to him. I'm not,
Clean slate for everyone except someone that got a red card in the final.
Fulgencio. And I think, honestly, man, Cordova is leaning to that now. I don't.
No, I still give Cordova a chance. I mean, I think he just needs the confidence. I still think that he can still provide something for us.
I hope you're right, but I just don't see it, man. I don't see it because it's lackadaisical. Like, he just goes through the motions, and he has good moments. He's still very talented on the ball, but if he doesn't like get his stuff together, like, he's gonna miss out on the chance of this transitional change that Guido Pizarro is implementing. And it's at a good time, right? His contract's coming up for renewal. So I just don't know. I think this is the season to demonstrate if he, and we've talked about it right at the beginning of the season, and we said this is the season for Cordova to fully cement himself as an important player in this team. And obviously, you can't take away the run that he created to that 8th championship, but we need more consistency to be an important player. And, you were a big adamant about, like, we got to give him a chance, if we've given chances to other players. But that chance has been here. He's gotten some starting minutes. He's come off the bench. And then in this past game, he was not selected. And I think it's good. I think he needs that. He needs to understand that he's not necessarily needed in this new formation, especially with some of the young guys getting minutes and performing, and then obviously people coming back from injuries. So Sebastián Cordova, if you're out there, my man, and somebody's translating for you, get it together. We need you to get it together.
I agree.
Maybe he's single again. Who knows?
We need another güerita for him.
No, he might be more of like Carlos Vela type thing. He's all into his cars and may not be as much into soccer as we think.
No.
Well, at least he likes to play still, unlike Carlos Vela, who's just on vacation.
Yeah, but Carlos Vela is elite. There's no comparison there.
And ancient.
Yeah.
All right. Tigres Femenil.
Yeah, lead us on.
Let me read Edgar's outline here for the next section. So Las Amazonas had another phenomenal evening in a volcán, and that he's talking about last Friday. They also had one tonight. That's slowly but surely regaining its attendance numbers as they hosted Santos Femenil. Pedro has shown to restore confidence in players who previously were erased from the first team. Tatiana Flores was able to score her first goal in the Amazonas kit, and Jenny Hermoso scored 2 for the evening. Jennifer Cordinali also contributed, and an own goal brought the evening's total to 5 goals for Las Amazonas. Reactions, everyone.
5-0. And, man, they're just on a roll, Alfred. I'm going to combine these matches. I know that he has the Santos recap, but they played Mazatlan tonight where Dennis was at 7-0. So a total of 12 goals in the last 2 games. These are the Amazonas that we're used to. So they're on a roll. They're playing well. And, I mentioned it a couple episodes ago, a few weeks back. I said, even though we have injuries and we're missing important players, I didn't think that we were in a bad position because the additions that we've had and the natural or almost forced hand of including players that weren't getting minutes, like Natalia Colin, now being the center back, starting there, she's looked good. She, obviously we know her upside that she can be a good center back. Cristina Ferral was moved over to the right back position and, getting the minutes there. Obviously some injuries that, that we had that came back, like Anika Rodriguez. Aaliyah Farmer just came back tonight, and she played at the right back spot instead of the right center back spot, which she was starting under Pedro Loza, even though she's a natural center defensive mid. So I think we're in a good spot. The players are finding good form. They're connecting. It looks like they trust what Loza is looking to implement on the field with his style of play. The Amazonas look more dangerous when having buildups. Jackie Ovalle is still doing phenomenal things. Jenny Hermoso finding a new life under this new coach, scoring and assisting. Mayor as well, playing more of a defensive mid / center mid role, and having more say in the creation of the ball as opposed to being a forward like she was, or a center forward. So a lot of good
scoring like today.
And she scored today. And then you look at tonight's game, and you had what's the new addition, Dennis, that we got out of West Virginia? No, out of West Virginia. Is it? Oh God, what's her name? No, not Farmer. She came from USC. Why can't I think of her name? I'm gonna pull it up. Is it Dilary Heredia?
Oh, yes.
So she's a winger, and she played at the left back spot today, and he moved Anika Rodriguez. So he's moving his players around. He's rotating them for minutes. He's putting them in the positions that we haven't seen them in the past before, or at least what we thought that they would play. So again, I think Pedro Loza so far has demonstrated that he's the right fit for Tigres Femenil through connecting with the players as its leader and manager, as well as being a tactician on the field as well. So 12 goals in the last 2 games.
Yep. And they're right back in the standings. So now they get to face the real teams. Now we're still gonna face America, Pachuca, Juarez, I think, Rayadas. So we'll see what they got.
Yeah,
what is it? 6 wins in a row and 7 of the last 8, right? Is that the win streak right now?
Yep.
So tonight's victory put us up at 3rd spot with 29 points.
Yes.
Only 3 behind America and 4 behind Pachuca. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Tigres Femenil is going to demonstrate that, they are a championship pedigree team. And so whether they finish first, second, third, or fourth, they're going to compete no matter what. And I think, I don't want to get ahead of myself. America's had some injuries and some significant injuries. They had Priscila, Sandra Paño's out now. Rayadas doesn't look like the team that, it was the last 2 seasons, and they lost their best player in Rebecca Bernal. So
it's our chance.
If Tigres continues to play well and no injuries happen, we can see ourselves in another final and possibly lifting the 7th cup with the players playing at this level and demonstrating, again, like I said, the connection that's been established now with their new head coach, Pedro Loza.
Agree.
Here's the thing that I'll say about the last couple of games. These were the games that we struggled really hard with last season with Mila. Like these lower place teams, we would maybe score once or twice. So to get 12 goals across 2 games against competition that this should be happening against, great progress.
Yeah, and you went to 2 games this week, so talk to us a little bit about that and the experience at the Femenil games.
Yeah, first atmosphere-wise, yeah, way more people than usual. Even tonight, people got to go back to work tomorrow. Today was a puente for everybody here, so I was kind of curious as to see, what the crowd was going to be like. But it was still pretty solid. Not as much as Friday, but pretty similar numbers, just based off the eye test. I was really impressed with both Jennifers. Those, I think, were my 2 standouts. Cordinali, just her instincts around the box are incredible. Her pace is really good. And then Ed Russell is like playing kind of similar to how she played it with Mila, but it's different and it's way better. Like she's still dropping back deep a little bit here and there, but she's also getting more in the forward spots that she needs to be at, and she's winning her duels all the time. And yeah, she's super impressive. So I've been really impressed with how they move the ball and the possession and how confident they look whenever there is a counterattack. Just, never having to stress out with if the other team would score a goal, because Sesa, has been really good the last few games, and she's super solid. And Anika has been incredible regardless of what wing she's on. And Natalia Colon, impressive couple games. Aside from her passing was kind of whack, especially the first night on Friday, but it was way better. It was way better today. So, yeah, I've been really impressed with how the progression has gone. And yes, I know it's Santos and Mazapan, 2 of the lower place teams in the league, but you need these wins in order to build the confidence for later on. And that's just what didn't happen last season, is that we would struggle against these teams and it would affect how we would play against the bigger teams. Now we're not seeing that anymore. And I think this will pay off even more in the long run once we get to the Liga and against the bigger competition. And then obviously as well going into that CONCACAF weekend where we need to be at our best.
Yeah, I want to emphasize what you said about Hermoso. I think that the inclusion of Mayor behind her doing more of the dirty work along with Alexia Delgado is, even though she's still tracking back, and I mean this Jenny Hermoso, she's not having to be so involved with defensive duties, and she tracks back in order to get more on the ball. And because she's not tiring herself out as much as she was in the past with Mila Martinez, I think she's having better matches and better form, and it's obviously producing on the field with goals and assists. And then the other thing, Jennifer Cordinali, I think this was her 6 goals in 6 matches, if I'm not mistaken, something like that, or 5 in 6 matches, something like that. She had a brace today, and it's impressive. And like I mentioned at the beginning of this pod episode recording, is that it's impressive the fact that she's getting all these goals, while at the same time, like we still haven't found like her best form quite yet, because she's still acclimating to her new teammates, but she just has a knack for the ball and scoring positions, and she knows where to be at the right time, and she's been lucky and also creative in order to score some goals, like especially the header goal that Jackie Ovalle assisted her not too long ago. So ultimately, a good player that gives us that scoring that we desperately needed besides Ovalle. And again, it's being distributed a lot more now with the rest of the squad. Edgar, welcome back. You've been in and out, but looks like you got it figured out. I want to get some insight from you about the Amazonas. Any thoughts about the current form and the matches that they've had recently?
So definitely a lot better than what we've seen at the start of the Pedro Martinez era. I know there was a lot of hurdles that they had to go through to find their way. You kind of can see that there is a plan. There is a little bit of consistency now. When he does experiment, it's intentional. It's not, like the PE coach who would just shift her players around as she pleased. And yeah, it's exciting. There's actually intent behind what you see from Pedro Martinez and his Amazonas, bringing back a lot of players that were erased from the previous coach, seeing Tatiana Flores get regular minutes, seeing her actually kind of build up and transform into a really key player, and being able to showcase why she's at Tigres has been really positive and really exciting.
Yeah, good point. Tatiana Flores is getting more minutes. Obviously, Fernando Lizondo has gotten more minutes this season as well. So he's using the depth of our squad in a way that wasn't being utilized before. I felt like Mila and even Moscato before that were running our players into the ground and not utilizing them, or spreading out the minutes and rotating them. So we got a deep squad. And like I said, I think even with the injuries, like we have Mari Carmen Reyes, which, top 3 player last season and probably top 3 player at Tigres, before her injury. Not in the lineup, so that's always a tough loss. Belen Cruz is a bench player who, obviously was a starter and has given us great moments. Also injured. Greta Espinosa now injured, being our normal starter. Ferral was out due to the accumulations of yellow cards, but, I wouldn't be surprised if that was intentional to, make sure that she didn't miss the Rayados or the Clásico match, and she can have a clean slate in terms of yellow cards. But who knows? So I really think that we're in a really good spot with Tigres Femenil, and we're pushing to the end of the season. We're getting hot in terms of form, and so it's just positive things for Tigres Femenil at the moment, which normally typically is. We obviously, we weren't happy with the play style and the coaching that we had for the last 2 seasons, but nonetheless, they still were finding ways to win. And I think obviously that was more due to individualistic performances instead of coaching. But now we got individual performances combined with great coaching.
I thought we already played Rayados, though. Didn't we already play them early in the season? I could have sworn we did.
You might be
Yeah,
honest.
we already did. I was wrong. We only have Juarez, Pachuca, America. I think one more left.
I could tell you.
As if
Yeah.
we needed more evidence.
Yeah, because I thought we beat them 5-0 already.
Yeah, when we beat them at their house, too.
Yep.
Yeah.
As if we needed more evidence for me to stay here, Tatiana Flores scored a goal, and that hasn't happened before. So,
Yeah,
anyways,
that
also
GoFundMe's got to go up tonight.
shout out Threedger. Chat, where are you at, chat? Threedger holding it down and keeping us locked in with the stats and the score lines.
So we got
I think a lot of people were watching the game.
We got America, Juarez, Pumas, and Pachuca to end the season for Tigres
Pumas.
Femenil. So big match against America. That's going to be on the 22nd, so a few days from now, 5 days from now.
That's similar to
And-
what the men's side is.
Yeah.
Similar matchups.
Yeah, dude, honestly, like most all the match, the Necaxa, Santos, except Mazatlan. I don't think we got Mazatlan, but Santos and then now America. But yeah, Tigres Femenil on a hot streak and an upward trend. So loving that. I think we got our flair back in terms of good playing style on the field.
One other thing I'll say, interesting over these last couple of games that Ovalle, for her standards, was relatively quiet. Like, yeah, she was like active and made good passes and stuff, but she was not on the score sheet really. So good to see other players score and carry that load.
Well, I don't know about this game, but I know last game she got screwed over by the refs because
Oh,
there was a goal that
1000%. Yeah.
yeah, she was
Yeah,
in line and
that was so bad.
it's called back.
Like, yeah, everyone in the stadium saw that it was onside. I don't know why the ref thought
It was
otherwise.
the line ref.
But
was
that's
bad.
what we want, right? Like we want scoring distribution. We want our forwards to score and not have to depend on Ovalle, and actually depend on her for assisting, which she's great at, and she's great at scoring as well. But not be highly depending on her magic in order for us to win games and pull out victories. So I love the scoring distribution that we've had this season.
Me too.
What else we got?
Oh, fun fact from Tigres. Deity scored goal number 700 for
Nice.
Las Amazonas.
That's
I didn't know that.
crazy. 700 goals,
In like
bro.
what, 6 years? That's awesome.
That is an absolutely wild stat.
Pretty good.
I think that when it's all said and done, like where America's men's team, even like Guadalajara and some of these older clubs, important clubs in Mexico on the men's side, Tigres Femenil is that and will continue to be that. And so it's going to be really awesome to see, like, oh, these are the amount of goals that they scored. These are all the championships they won, all the leading stats that we're going to hold because we just had such a great run with all these players that have come in the last 6 years. Okay. Anything else on Las Amazonas?
That's it.
Are we close to finishing the youth minutes? Deity Ramirez played Natalia Colin, so obviously we'll be able to complete it. I don't think Colin is going to come out of the starting lineup. But anybody know? Got the stat, Trigger? I know you got the stat, Trigger.
Yeah, where you at? I know we're over on the men's side. I know we're over 500 now since Para played the full 90 on Saturday, and then Ociel and Chelo and Garza also played some. So we're over halfway now, which is nice.
We might not get as many minutes versus America, but I think we still got Puebla on the men's side. So I think in that game they definitely have to use Parra 100%, 90 minutes, and maybe even the forward that we were talking about.
Trigger saying we need less than 200 minutes for the Amazonas, and that sounds about right because Tatiana Flores contributes, Natalia Colin, Deity Ramirez contributed tonight. So that's three players that I don't see them not being used in the next few games, especially Colin and Tatiana. I think that Tatiana is earning, herself into, being a bench player that comes in and provides spark, and hopefully some more goals after she completed or scored her first goal at El Volcan a few days ago.
Guess I got to stay longer.
Yeah, dude. We really got to get that GoFundMe started for you. What else we got?
International break.
I'll toss it over to Double Nation for this.
Who cannot pull out his outline. But regardless, we know that Tigres will be traveling to visit Lou Popovich in Austin at the Q2 Stadium to play against Pumas this Saturday, if I recall correctly.
Yeah. Couple of things there. Ticket sales, not great. I remember we went to the Least Cups match, and there was probably about 6,000, 7,000 people when they played Pachuca. It's looking like it might be that again.
Or less.
Or less, yeah. I just don't
Can I rant? Can I rant for a sec?
Yeah, go ahead.
For a sec? Okay, so on that, the cheapest ticket is $60 to get in.
That's crazy.
Full stop. I think with fees and all that. I was just telling my friends earlier. I spent $60 combined for all the games I went to this week. Tonight was $5. Friday was $5. Both the Femenil games. The Cincinnati game was $20, and the Santos game was $29. Like, why are we getting scammed for soccer in the United States? This is just it's not even a Tigres or Liga MX problem. It's a whole general soccer mainly all sports probably, but especially in soccer, they're trying to scam us, bro. Like, what are we
Yeah.
doing? Like, it should be accessible. We want full stadiums, not half empty stadiums and getting more money out of it because you make the tickets more expensive. There's no logic behind that.
Yeah, it's just too greedy there, especially when like you have a World Cup coming up and you have the whole region like hosting and friendly matches and leagues cups. Like there, it's outrageous. It's not fair to the common fan that loves to watch soccer to like, especially if they want to take their family out. In this case, like none of us live in Austin, so if we were to travel, significant others or kids that you want to take to the game, it's a very high expense that like you almost like avoid because it's like, why would I go to one? It's a friendly match. Two, the tickets are super expensive, and it's just not appealing to attend.
I actually bought already my tickets for the LA Galaxy game, and I bought them for $30. So, I mean, that just goes to show. I think the responsible parties here are the organizers of these friendly matchups. They're the ones that are trying to make a buck.
Yeah, and like I said, I mean, I hope that there's a good crowd. I mean, Pumas has a good fan base. They're a popular team, and obviously we have good fan base here in Texas, but it doesn't look like promising. I think Dennis, you shared a few screenshots over the past week or so of that. There's still a highly amount of significant tickets to be sold, and we got this match, which honestly, like for us specifically for Guido Pizarro, it couldn't have come at a perfect time, this FIFA break, because it gives us another week to get players back, get them, healthy, as well as continue to practice and implement that play style in a friendly match that doesn't have any significance towards the league or the CONCACAF.
Yep.
Now I raise you this question: with this new formation and with what he's got going on, what kind of starting 11 should we expect on Saturday? Tercero, Ordóñez.
Let's not forget that Angulo got called up to El Tri.
Oh yeah, he
The
So
probably
only
won't play
Tigres
though.
player.
I think the only
that's
one
good though.
and the only one in
Yeah.
the city, right? None from Monterrey got called either.
I think you're
Yeah.
right. And then Parra's going on the youth team on the
So,
U20s.
so that might be another thing that we get some higher youth minutes as well.
Right.
Oh yeah, that's true. If he plays, he has to play.
He has to play, obviously.
Yeah.
But I don't see why he wouldn't. I mean, he's starting for Tigres and we're in good form.
Exactly.
Yep.
Want to dive back into that point that you brought up, Dennis. Who starts? We have some injuries still. We are looking to implement. We have Angulo out. The one position that's for sure that we're going to see is the goalkeeping position. I think Tapia is going to get the start.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I think Aquino at the right wing back spots gets some rest.
Yes.
So I
We'll
think
probably see Chuy Garza on the right right side.
I think Chuy Garza slides there.
Hold on. Or the wing backs are held by Ordóñez and Loroña.
See,
Could be.
I see Ordóñez as the left wing back spot and Chuy Garza as the right wing back spot. I don't think Loroña gets minutes, and especially not at the wing back spot. If we were playing a back line of 4, I think I'd be more in agreement with you.
Okay, fair.
Okay, so consensus there. We see Chuy Garza as the right wing back spot, left wing back spot Ordóñez.
Correct.
Okay. Center backs. Angulo is out, so who's the starting left center back?
We're gonna have our star from the last friendly match.
Who's that?
That player that came from Cruz Azul and scored in the friendly match.
No, you're talking about actually. You know what? Who should be playing left wing back should be Osby.
But he's not, bro. He's gonna.
That's him. Didn't he score or did he get an assist?
He assisted.
No, he had the cross for the assist.
Yeah,
he got an assist. Okay, so he shows up in friendly matches.
But he's not even a center back. He's a left back by trade.
Yeah, left back. So that
he could play as Angulo.
I'm thinking Ordóñez as the left wing back spot. If anything, Osvaldo Rodriguez should have been the natural candidate there, but he hasn't played with Paunovic, with Pizarro, I think the youngster gets the nod there. I think Pizarro leans on the youth guy right there. Left center back spot. That's tough because you have Diego Reyes out. I think Purata's gonna have to start at the sweeper spot, and I think you go Tercero at the right center back spot.
The pizza man. The pizza
And-
man makes
or-
his return.
Or you slide Romulo to the left side and give him the minutes there, and then play Tercero at the right center back spot.
Yeah, Romulo has to start just so he can get fitness back.
Yeah. Okay, so then Chuy Garza, Romulo, Purata, Tercero, and Ordóñez. Woo!
Island of Misfit Toys, baby.
Tough, baby. So then we move into the midfield. What are we thinking there?
Yeesh. Maybe Carioca, to be honest, just for a little bit.
Okay. Carioca.
Pisuto.
Nah. Carioca, Bigon.
Oh yeah, Vigon. Yeah, because he doesn't trust Vigon anymore. So
Yeah.
I stepped out for a bit. Did you guys mention Romulo?
We're thinking. We said
Right,
Chuy Garza,
right center back.
Tercero. We said Chuy Garza, Tercero, Purata, Romulo, and Ordóñez as the back line.
Got it.
And then now
I agree.
Now we're in the midfield, so we're thinking Carioca and Bigon.
Yes.
Who's the other one?
Well, don't we still have Ayala?
Nah, don't think he gets the minutes, bro. Because he would be in the
Ayala.
Carioca spot.
Yeah.
It's got to be someone more offensive creation. So it's either
Cordova.
I was thinking Cordova, but then that means that who's going to do the workload of Brunetta?
No, I think that's gonna have to be Cordova. Cordova's gonna be playing back, and then you're gonna have at the top Antuna and Fulgencio and Ibanez. Ibanez probably still gonna play,
or Ociel at the striker.
or else he'll let the striker.
I forgot about Antuna. Antuna can probably even play right wing back spot. He
Yeah,
played
Fulgencio can also play left wing back. I mean, with the formation that Pizarro's using, they're not really, right backs, left backs. So
and he got some minutes there, right? Antuna played at the right wing back spot against Santos at the end.
Yep.
Okay. I mean, that's a good candidate to give Chuy Garza some rest, but I think Chuy Garza being young, I don't think that's a problem. And you want him to play more, right? Like you want him to get more adept to what Guido Pizarro wants. I think that's tough. I think the midfield up is tough because I think Bigon is a clear candidate to come in and play in that Nando spot. I think that you play Carioca in that Parra spot, especially, because Parra's going to be out as well. I just don't know if Cordova gets that spot, man. I'm having trouble processing that, but I mean, I don't think we have many options there.
it's his chance to show himself.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'll go with it just to give Brunetta the rest. And then you're thinking up top, we play Nico Ibanez still with Marcelo or Ciel?
No, I think Fulgencio is going to be getting some opportunities, some minutes there.
Or Antuna there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, Ociel and Marcelo will probably still rest. I mean, Marcelo for sure because he's been playing a lot, and
But
we
they're
need
young,
him healthy.
though, Alfred. They're young.
But we need him healthy because we can't afford to lose these young players like Parra, like Marcelo, like Garza, who are giving us minutes for the youth minutes.
Yeah, I see your point. I'd like to be surprised though, and he just rolls out like some of these guys just because they're young. Go ahead, Dennis.
Hear me out. Joaquin, striker. Who says no?
I mean, the guy finds at least one or two chances to score, and he blows.
That's
it.
what I'm saying, dog. If there's any chance to try it out, why is the train so loud? This is the chance to do it.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I think going through it, I thought that I was gonna be, especially starting in the back, it was gonna be an easy lineup to put together. But I don't know. I think after going through it, I'm very uncertain as to what he's gonna choose.
Yep.
So we'll revisit this conversation this weekend.
Maybe he puts himself in there. Guido, player coach.
He should.
All right, what we got last? Did we get any from the vault moments?
I got a couple.
Nice.
So 1 year ago, and this is obviously remembering back on some player that kind of we thought was going to be something new that was going to work, but he ended up disappointing a little bit. Chicha Sanchez made his debut at El Volcan exactly yesterday, 1 year ago. So throwback to that. We also have Walter Gaetan's birthday 5 days ago. He turned
Legend.
48. Legend. El Mago. El Divino.
Bro, I'm getting old if he's 48.
He's 48, bro. He's 48. All right. And then what else do we got? I know I had one more.
I saw one, I guess, from the vault moment, not necessarily in terms of chronological time, but our matchup against Santos, I saw Joaquin Del Olmo's goal in the quarterfinals. Banger. Joaquin Del Olmo was also one of my favorite players growing up as a Tigres fan, and he scored a banger in the quarterfinals from outside the box to help us secure the semifinal berth.
Something I say that for the vault, but it's more, for us, it's going to continue to carry on as for the vault. So we have extended our streak of not losing against international opponents in CONCACAF, Libertadores, etc. Well, I guess that's only it, right? The only tournaments. But, we are now at 42 games undefeated against international opponents. 29 victories,
Stat.
13 draws, 96 goals in our favor, and 32 goals received at El Volcan.
And before anybody tries to correct this, the Columbus game last year does not count as a loss because that was in penalty kicks. It counts as a draw. So
Yep.
get wrecked.
Yep.
It's still a wild stat.
Very wild.
Yeah.
Home field advantage.
Alfred, was that game that Chicha debuted? Was that the Mazapan game?
Let me check. Hold on, I have it right here.
I think it is. It sounds
Yes,
like it is.
Mazatlan. It is.
Okay, so
Were you
another
there?
note about that. Yep, I was there. That was when I had my really nice seats in Platea. Shout out our friend who let us borrow. And that was when Samir scored that golazo. We got his last time doing this.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
Did we win 5-0 on that game or 5-1 or something like that?
Like 4-0, 4-0,
okay.
5-0.
Yeah, Samir's goal was really nice. It was
Marcelo scored. Marcelo had a great game that night. It was a good one. But it was also Mazapan. What do you expect?
Yeah.
Man, I didn't come across too many from the vault moments this week on my timeline. Or this past week, I should say. So, I don't have anything to contribute besides that Joaquin Del Olmo.
Yeah, I don't have any others either. I wanted to talk about the away kit real quick for next year, since that's like leaking around pretty heavy.
Okay, we'll end on that note.
I don't like it, but I know y'all do.
I do
If y'all
not.
haven't seen
I
it
do.
yet, listener. Okay. If y'all haven't seen it yet, listener, it's like a baby blue and darker blue combo with a big tiger graphic on it. Really odd, really funky.
Edgar, you're into the goalkeeper jerseys, I feel, from what you've commented in the past.
Yeah.
Did we have like a similar goalkeeper jersey, like of that color that this new jersey's coming out?
So the more recent one, it was a little bit different. It was more like the ones that I recall, we've had a turquoise one, and then I think
Turquoise, I'm thinking.
2014, possibly 14 or 15, there was one that was a similar tone to this one, but it was nothing, as horrendous as it.
Yeah, I don't like this one.
I don't know.
So it's 3 versus 1. I'm the only one that likes it. I mean, not the colors. I mean, the color theme could obviously be different. I would have liked to see at least some yellow accents on the jersey. But I mean, I like the design. I think retro '90s look is in, and yeah, I mean, I think it's gonna be a cool. Once we see Gignac put it on, y'all are gonna buy it. Y'all are gonna want it in your collection.
Nah, bro, I don't think it's even gonna pass that test.
No, it's still gonna be ugly, but I want it because it's ugly. Like it's horrendous. It is the ugliest kit I have seen Tigres release in a very long time. But that's why I want
No.
it. It's ugly.
You know, it to me it beats in ugliness to that one that was released. What was it like like around the Lucas Lobos era? There was that blue one with the tiger.
The tiger without the nose.
Yeah.
No, that one. No, the tiger without the nose. That one is. And then you had the sponsors, like red sponsors all over. It was no, I didn't like that one.
Yeah.
Unpopular opinion though, some of the jerseys where the sponsors were colored that were actually really nice.
Yeah, I agree.
I like that. I kind of miss that on every now and then, but
yeah, the color tone I can get past. I just don't like the design at all, and I can't believe they're gonna wear that. Like, we're gonna go from these jerseys that they're wearing right now. Like, those are sick. I think those are probably some of the best ones in the last 10 years or so, and go from that to, and you can tell they're sick because of all the color combinations that they've used for the uniforms. It looks incredible.
Yeah, that I really liked.
And then you're gonna have this. Trigger mentioned the light blue jersey, that Florian Thauvin era.
yes,
I mean, I like that one because it's clean.
Yeah, that one's really nice. That's one of my favorite ones.
Yeah,
same colors, but
with black.
Yes.
Yeah, it's clean, and it's a good fit too. Like that was a very cool fit of a jersey that year.
Speaking of goalkeeper jerseys, the new one, the Green Lantern one, I like it. Big fan.
I think they got ahead of them. They weren't supposed to be released yet.
Yeah, because it's technically this year's model, and it's not supposed to be out till the fall. But
Yeah.
they've been using the 2023 model for a while, like the one that he was wearing before. So I get it. And Femenil had it on tonight too. So
Yo, I just noticed you're in a different time than we are, huh, Dennis? Because Mexico's on daylight.
Yeah, it's only 10. Yeah, it's only 10 o'clock. I forgot it's like almost 11 over there for you.
Yeah, no, it's about to be 11. We're about to end this live stream.
Es la hora de mimir.
Yeah, gotta get back into work, man. Today was my first day back after my vacation, and it was.
All right. How are we gonna go through almost 2 hours, and you didn't even bring up this Madrid vacation once? That's incredible.
I didn't need to. It was present the entire time.
Show off.
Nice.
Did you wear the jersey like you said you were going to?
No, dude. I actually did not go to the games. It was like
no mames,
bruh. I nunca me fijo on like my money, especially if I don't like it. But it was $300 to get into the Rayo Vallecano match.
Damn.
The
whoa.
Yeah, and then the Atletico Madrid game for champions, like there was no possible way to get into that match. Like, and I asked all the locals, like, what's the best way? And he's like, I mean, you got to go to the stadium and like try to buy them, but like you're risking getting scammed because like how many people they're going to sell that ticket to? So I ended up we ended up watching the Real Madrid Rayo Vallecano at an Irish bar. We watched the Arsenal Man U game as well. At the same bar, and then I went to that store, La Liga store that I posted on my timeline. It's called Legends, and so they have it's really cool, like where you get to see obviously it's a soccer store, but then they have a collection of like vintage kits. But vintage kids were typically smaller size and fit. So your boy wasn't able to find one, but oh my God, they had a 1998 Thierry Henry France jersey. It was a medium. I would have loved to have been like an XL or even a 2X, just because of its smaller fit. But they're European jerseys. I saw a Dennis Bergkamp Netherlands jersey, it was, it was just incredible. And then so they had a restaurant at the very top, so we hung out there as well to watch some games. But yeah, I even like I said, the Clásico and the champions Atletico versus Madrid, it was just impossible to get tickets to. So next time, I know whenever I travel, gotta get all that situated. But at the same time, it's like they don't really release general ticket sales until only a few days before the matches. So yeah, I could have gone to a Getafe game, but realized that too late. And that was an incredible atmosphere because they beat Atletico Madrid 2-1, and that was really cool. I watched that game. But overall, Spain was fantastic, man. I got to see a lot of cool stuff. Culturally, it was nice to see, the language, being around the language and the way that they speak. And tapas were incredible. I went to a couple of Michelin star restaurants. And we went to a couple of cities like Toledo, which is incredible, and Segovia, home of the cochinillo asado, where I was able to eat a full pig. They eat a lot of cerdo in Spain. So that was incredible. So overall, great experience, totally recommendable, but not enough time. Like, I was there for 7 days and not enough time. But we went to a wedding. That was incredible. We went to a 10-hour wedding. It started at 12 and ended at 10 p.m. And then all of them went out. All the Spaniards went out. Some of our friends went too, but I tried, but I'm 34 years old. I'm not waiting in the line for an hour and a half to get into a place. So I called it a night. We went exploring around the city, learned a little bit about the metro, but it was incredible. It was an incredible experience. Totally recommended. And next year I'm going to do Italy. So we're going to be moving
Nice.
countries. Yeah.
Nice. You're going to be eating good then.
Yeah. I'm going to be looking forward to that.
Awesome.
But yeah. So great pod, guys. I said we were going to keep it short, but here we are, an hour and 40 minutes, 150 people watching. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in tonight. Remember, tomorrow we have a special episode. We have Tab Ramos in the house, former Tigres player, former Houston Dynamo head coach. Great player, very skillful player, probably, one of the very first few American players with such a on the ball skill, ahead of its time in American soccer, and came to play for Tigres. Like I mentioned, my dad was a big fan of his, and my dad gave me a couple of things to ask him tomorrow. So tune in. We're all going to be on that interview, and Lou's going to head that interview. He's going to be back with us tomorrow night to record. And like I said, we'll have Tab Ramos, and then eventually later on in the week, I'll post also the interview with David Copeland Smith, the former coach, part of the coaching staff for Tigres Femenil, and excellent soccer coach. And so, just wanted to give you guys a reminder about that. Fellas, anything else to add before we go?
I was going to say about tomorrow, everybody tune in. And if you have questions for Tab, drop them in the chat, because we will be letting y'all get those out so that he can answer them too. Like, we're going to have our own questions, but we want y'all to have questions too. So flood the chat.
Yeah, and if you can't make it, send us a tweet right now at Double Nation, at Low Times Pod, at Dennis, at Tigres Takes, if you have a question, and we'll try to make sure it gets in there as well. Yeah,
we wanna be able to. You're a big part of what we're doing. Obviously, through watching our live shows and also obviously listening to the audio versions through Spotify or Apple Podcasts. And so, big opportunity for us here with Tab Ramos, getting more in the spotlight. Tigres Take. Alfred made us go viral yesterday with highlighting the video of Cincy Soccer Talk and their podcast episodes. So the more exposure, the better. Like I said, I told these guys we have really something special going on here. We're the only outlet that speaks about Tigres in English besides the social media accounts for the club officially. And we want to grow this community. We want everyone to follow Tigres and understand the passion that we all share for our club. And we know that we can obviously share that with other people, other fan bases, as we got to experience with FC Cincinnati. And, we want you all to be part of what we're doing and part of our community.
I agree.
Pull up.
Yes, yes. All right, you guys enjoy the rest of y'all's night, day, whenever you're listening to this episode. Take care. We'll see you guys tomorrow.